Hello, we are in Iran after a long flight crossing the Lut Desert. We are approaching Yazd, which should be right over here, but look at this, man. Look at this wonderful scenery. This right in front of us is Mount Karanag, I believe, at about almost 11,000 feet. We are at a little below 12,000 feet. We are on the arrival procedure to Yazd. We haven't been assigned an approach yet, but I wanted to show you this because it is just gorgeous. So the idea...
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, Bomit 1 November, runway 31, report ready for descent.
Bomit 1 November, runway 31, will call when ready, CIC 06. So that's the thing, we can only descend after we hit D0470, which means we have cleared the mountains ahead of us. Yazd is over there, as I said. We'll land on runway 31 as expected, so we'll probably be vectored towards it. I think we might even see the city. I'll switch to external view just so we can see the mountain crossing, so to speak. So yeah, gorgeous plain, gorgeous mountain. You could see the desert behind us. And we need to get ready for descent.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, descend to 5,900 feet, QNH 1016.
Descend to 5,900 feet, QNH 1016, CIC 06. The airport is about 4,000 feet, so that's probably the approach altitude.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, QNH 1016, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 31.
QNH 1016, expect vectors for ILS runway 31, CIC 06.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, leave D0470, heading 180, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 31.
Leave D0470 at 180 heading, expect vectors for ILS runway 31, CIC 06. Okay, so yeah, we are...
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, turn left, heading 185, vectors for the approach.
Turn left, heading 185, CIC 06. And now we can descend. We can activate vectors to final, which is already tuned to the...
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, descend to 7,000 feet, QNH 1016.
Descend to 7,000 feet, QNH 1016, CIC 06. So we're gonna cross the clouds, but no risk of freezing, I believe. Let me get the procedure. From, yeah. So So important stuff. Final approach cruise 3110. Okay, 310. We need to be at 5,900 at 5.8. Missed approach is just climb to 6,000 and turn right. Minimums are 4,317, but we should be fine. Let's go back. We are descending very slowly, so let's descend faster. We were clear to 7,000 feet. The final approach is 310. So let's tune them on both systems. And yeah, so Yazd apparently is a very beautiful city. It's old city, and since it's kind of hidden a bit behind the desert, so to speak, it's a very dry place. It has been mostly spared from all the warfare in the regions. In this region, as I said in the previous flight, this has been fought over so many times over the centuries. It's not pretty. But Yazd remained. It remained, and it also has a very peculiar thing. Apparently, even after Islam took over Iran, Yazd sort of paid to be able to continue practicing Zoroastrianism, which means there are still Zoroastrian temples in Yazd. Very few people are actually Zoroastrians, but oh, look at that. There's the city right after the clouds. I love getting out of the clouds in the sun. We need to descend faster though, we're still very high. And it still has Zoroastrian temples, also a lot of traditional Persian architecture, so it's probably an extremely beautiful place to visit. Sadly, we won't get any of that in Flight Sim, unfortunately. We'll only get the usual ProcGen buildings. But still, if you ever have a chance to visit Yazd, it's probably worth it. And I've been wondering about how people get their water in these dry places, and it's probably not a surprise if you live in dry places, but since I live in Brazil, which doesn't usually have water problems, so in Iran they have what they call the qanats, which are underwater aqueducts, so to underground aqueducts, so to speak. A series of wells that are connected through underground canals that will sort of use gravity to lead the water from the aquifers to the cities and the farms for irrigation. It's a very old, ancient technique, which is not just Iranian, it's spread throughout most of the Middle East and Northern Africa, but I had never actually investigated that. So it's really cool to see, to read about it and how they sort of still make them in the traditional way, of course with new materials and whatnot, but the knowledge of building qanats has been passed throughout the centuries. And yeah, it's just very interesting stuff. We should be vectored towards the final approach soon. It's going to be a sharp turn apparently. We're 8,000 feet, so almost okay. We can turn off pitot heat, but we can turn on landing lights and the fuel pump. We won't need cabin heat as well. And yeah, we're descending nice and slow now. Long flight, more than 2 hours, mostly crossing the desert, very pretty, but the landscape didn't change much until we got near Yazd and we saw those beautiful mountains. The airport is default again, and hopefully it's going to be a straightforward landing. I already have tower frequency tuned. 7,500. We are slow enough that we can deploy gears whenever.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, turn right heading 210.
Turn right heading 210 CIC 06. Now it's gonna give us the final turn, I guess, and tell us to descend to 5,800.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, 3 miles from CF31, turn right, heading 275, maintain 5,900 feet until established cleared ILS runway 31.
Turn right heading 275, maintain 5,900 feet until established clear ILS runway 31 CIC 06. So I'm already doing the final turn so we can join the ILS.
Negative, maintain 5,900 feet.
Maintain 5,900 feet, CIC 06. So we will intercept the ILS. Soon you'll see this bar will move inwards, which means we can start turning. That's Yazd, the city. You can see it. We'll fly over it, which is nice. I like. We need a little bit more mixture. See, the bar is over here, so we can turn towards the airport now. We actually took a little while, so we need to correct the descent. Here's the airport. I will drop gears. Full props, but not full throttle. Correct. Still with heading mode while we get ready for landing.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, contact Yazd Tower 122.7.
122.7 CIC 06. I forgot to add power, so we were descending too fast, which is why I took off autopilot and we'll do things manually. Let's talk to tower. Tower CIC 06 on final runway 31.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, Yazd Tower, wind 275 at 6, runway 31 cleared to land.
Clear to land runway 31 CIC 06. So yeah, the wind is a little bit from the left, nothing major. We still need to hold altitude for a bit. Now we're following the ILS. I'll add a little more power. trim up. We didn't trim down much in this flight since we flew very high and we had a headwind throughout, so we needed engine power. I can see the peppy lights already, which is nice. And as usual with the ILS, we are waiting for this to start descending. Very pretty city, it's not very big, I think 600,000 people. And yeah, that mountain crossing was so pretty, and we are getting almost sunset. Okay, less talking, more descending. Now we can descend. Because I didn't do full mixture, the temperatures are getting a little bit high, but it's not really a problem, especially since I'll cut power anyway, as you can see. Now we need to descend faster. Wind is pushing us a little bit, but now we can just do things visually, really. There are some buildings on the way, of course. Final check, everything okay. Still need to descend. So even less power. Trim up. Fine now. This slows us down and we can catch up with our descent. Final flaps, but we are very high, so let's focus. Nice buildings, but again, they are just generic Western architecture. We won't get to see the Persian stuff, sadly. Maybe one day we'll have a Middle East update, but I wouldn't hold my breath, unfortunately. Lots of geopolitical issues. We're still high, so let's point the plane down a little bit, gain some speed. Now we're catching up. Nice space between the city and the airport. Okay, now we are 2 whites and 2 reds. Being pushed a little bit from the left. Cutting more power. Some gusts. The plane is shaking a little bit, but nothing major. Little weird house on the way. I wonder if that actually exists. Maybe it's the VOR, it's just not depicted. No, the VOR is after the, I believe. Anyway, windsock showing the wind from the left. So we'll correct. Try to get a good landing. Cutting power slowly. Pointing. Now cutting power quickly. And floating. And now cutting speed. And keeping it up. Oh my god, stop floating. Oh Jesus. It's hard on high altitude airports. I think it wants to float more. long runway, so we're fine.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, exit right next available taxiway.
Exit right next taxiway, CIC 06. Here it is, exit right. Very nice landing. We are at Yazd in Iran. Next time we'll fly to Kerman, I believe, to the southeast.
Charlie India, Charlie Alpha 06, contact ground 121.9er.
121.9er, CIC 06. Anyway, that's it for me today. Very pretty landing, beautiful approach over the mountains. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.